Hi everyone, and welcome to another Goon Squad tutorial. My name is Zero, and I'll be your teacher today. In this tutorial, we'll be discussing how to create UV mapping for your marvelous designs. You normally will hear people tell you that you have to mark all the seams, mark the seams, convert it to quads, run it through Z remesher, all that jazz to get it a decent texture with Marvelous Designer, which is why a lot of people stray away from it. But if you follow this tutorial, you'll see that you don't need to do any of that, and that all the texture unwrapping and seam marking and material assignment you can do right here in Marvelous Designer. So let's dive right into the tutorial and let's get you texturing. For the sake of the tutorial, I already made a t-shirt that you see right here, and we're going to ignore the 3D window right now and focus more on the 2D window. Do you see this pattern that I made here that makes up the t-shirt? Well, this is the UV map for the t-shirt. So congratulations, as you were creating your pattern with the polygon tool, you were already unwrapping and designing the UV map for your garment, so you don't have to go in there and mark any seams or unwrap it, because this right here is the t-shirt unwrapped. Yay. If you want to assign different materials to it, that materials allow what's the best way to describe it? Materials allow you to add different textures on a separate mesh, a single mesh. So say we want the texture, a texture here on the front, we can assign a material to the front, and then a separate texture would go on the back. We would assign a material to that. So how you do that is by going to the fabric tab. Well, you select the pattern and you go into the fabric tab and you change the color. Any color would do, it doesn't matter. So I want a blue one for the front, and I guess a pink one for the back. And that's it. You just assigned separate materials onto your garment. So when we go into something like Photoshop or Blender or whatever, and you want to add more textures to it, you can add a texture to the front, you can add a separate texture to the back. That's it. But if you want them to just be one whole texture, sharing the same texture, you can just, keep it both white, and that would give it the same texture. So I'm gonna open up the save file, the project that I had earlier. So no t-shirt that I didn't jack up. And we're going to export it for Blender, because I have to convert it into a day. Okay, so I'm going to pause that real quick, and we're going to meet up in Blender. Okay, so now we're here in Blender, and I imported my shirt, and I'm scaling it down to fit my avatar. I would suggest that you always scale it and do everything you have to do first, and export it as a day before you get into texturing. So don't just jump and texture your OBJ first and then try to rig it. You may run into errors where something might change or whatever. I wouldn't put it past it. So I forgot this is the old one. Let me close this. I don't need this. Sorry, this is my old Avastar plug thing, so it won't rig. But we can just export it as a day for this tutorial. It doesn't need to be rigged. So let's export this as a static day, as a static mesh, and texture it in Photoshop. So I'm just going to go to my desktop and name it Untextured Tutorial Shirt, and let's go into Photoshop. So on my desktop, I'm going to open up the shirt. Just double click it. Photoshop will open it automatically. Alright, so I guess it's the time to explain the 3D navigational tools in Blender. Do not use the 2D tool, the old move tool that's for drawing on 2D layers. So don't use them for 3D stuff, it'll mess up your model. You want to bring your attention down here to, change that. You want to bring your attention down here to this little globe with a loop around it, the roll. This is the 3D roll, I think it's called. Rotate tool. This, if you click the button, it'll open up a menu and it'll give you a bunch of options for navigating around and moving your 3D object. So you're going to want to click the one with the ball and the loop around it. Then select your mesh and rotate it until you get the camera that you want. Well, not camera, until it is lined in front of the camera like you like. You want it. Then we're going to choose the roll tool and roll it so that it's right here in front. Use the magnifying glass, and I'm going to flip the screen so you can see better. We can use this if you need to zoom in and out. You would go right here below the rotating tool to the zoom in. So use the camera zoom, and you can pull it closer or pull it further away. Your choice. Actually, I need to make Photoshop smaller so I can explain some more things to you. So that's navigation with this. And then we're going to grab our paintbrush and then let's dive right in and start painting. So let's pick a color to paint in. I'm going to pick this red color. And I'm going to draw onto the t-shirt. And as you see, the t-shirt, the lines are kind of cracked and chunky, and it doesn't look smooth or pretty at all. And this is a common problem with Marvelous designing things, and that's why using Marvelous designing garments, and that's why people will often say you need to prepare it differently by using quads and redoing the topology and blah blah blah. But you don't need to do any of that. It's a very quick fix to get this to not be so chunky, and this is how you do it. Go over to the layers tab. If it's not open, you can just select window and then push layers or press F7, and you'll see diffuse. See textures and then diffuse. You're going to click on the material, and it'll bring you to the 2D, the UV map of the mesh that you're painting on. We're going to go to the top and change the image size. So image size, and we're going to change it to a whopping 4,000 by 4,000. Now I know you're thinking Second Life can't handle that kind of texture. It can only do 1020 at max. You're crazy, Zero, crazy. But it's okay, because Second Life will automatically resize it back down to 1024 by 1024, and you won't lose any of the quality. Or, you can just resize it yourself back to 1020 by 1024 by 1024, but if Second Life does it automatically, why waste the time? So let's save some time real quick and paint this shirt back a pretty color of red or blue, magenta, and create a new layer while we're here. Now I'm going to go back to the 3D layer, close it, hit yes. And as you see, my shirt is all magenta-y. And when we go to paint on it with this purple color here, you'll see that the lines are no longer crackly, but are nice and smooth. So you can design with more precise lines. So that's that. I'm going to go back into the 2D window real quick and create a new layer. Black that one out because I don't want the pattern. And let's say you created your t-shirt and you want to put a pattern on here, like what's it called? Like a logo or something. This is how you do that. So I'm going to go to my desktop, and I'm pretty sure I had a logo on here. My Steven Universe logo. God, I love that show. And you just make sure that your, place it in Photoshop. First, make sure that your shirt is nice and straight. You don't want to place your logo on crooked now. So it's nice and straight. I'm going to save this position as new front. So when I jack it up and I'm making a different one, I guess bottom would be the actual bottom is back. New front is where I had it before, so you can always save it that way. Alright, so our t-shirt is straight. We can look right at it. I'm going to enable the layer that has the logo. I'm going to go into edit and then free transform. Oh, make sure that it's actually selecting the logo. You go to edit, then free transform, and we're going to scale it down and put it to where we want it to be. Here's my Steven Universe right here on the chest. Press the paintbrush, press place, and then we're going to click on the logo and we're going to merge it down to our 3D layer, and it's going to paste itself onto the shirt. So wait for it to update, and there you have it. My Steven Universe t-shirt. So you see? Okay, now we're going to talk about something else real quick. You can look over it. Wait, before we do that, we can look over here and you see, there it is, Steven Universe already pasted on here. So we're good. We can just export it like this, and the t-shirt would just be a plain old Steven Universe t-shirt, nothing special. So let's make it to something special. And have you ever heard of bump map? Or materials in Second Life? It's what gives your clothes texture and shininess and things like that. Well, that's spectacular or specular. Yeah, I forget gloss. This is those are the things that give your mesh texture and feel to it. Like if we had a leather jacket, for example, we can add bump to it to make the leather look more realistic, or we can make what is those things called, latex suits, and make them super shiny without having to grab the paintbrush and trying to paint the white lines and blur it in like you used to do in the old school texturing days. And no more of that shrink wrap filter. Ugh, God, we are evolved beyond that. No more. Okay, so let's do the bump. To bump map your mesh in Photoshop, we're going to go up here to the 3D layer, and we're going to go through pose mode and switch over to bump. From diffuse to bump. And you're going to use the paintbrush and just click. It's going to give you this error that says that the 3D layer is missing a bump texture, and it will create one for you. Say, okay. And when it asks you what the size and things will be, make sure that it's the same as our texture map. So 4,000 by 4,000. And for the sake of it, we're going to make sure that the background content is white. Okay. The reason why I said that, I'll show you now. Okay. Nothing changed, right? Everything is still the same. Hang on 1 second. Sorry about that. So we have our bump map, and you see it's click on it again. It's all white. So what we're going to do is create a new layer, and we're going to close it. Yes. And yes. Jeez. Wait for it to bounce back. Now, with bump map, it creates the texturing. White is raised, and black is decreased. So if we want to put dents in it, like so, we would use black. If you want to raise, you would make it white. it's giving me the errors. Okay. So if you want to make soft dents, just make it gray or so. So the darker it is black, the deeper the holes. The whiter it is, no, not so deep the holes are. I have no idea why it is doing that. See? Alright, so I'm going to turn this shirt into a sort of leathery shirt. So I'm going to use my brush, one of these flesh skin brushes, and I'm going to turn it to black, dark black, gray, and then just run the brush over it. See, it's giving it that dimply texture like leather has. At least Second Life leather. Try to darken it. Remember, the brushes and everything I use will be in the description. If not, give me a second and then I'll put them into the description. So, I think I just undid what I just did. Alright, give me a second. Let me figure out what's beeping. Okay, guess I figured out what was beeping. So we have our shirt, and we gave it a sort of texture, rough texture to it. If you want to switch back to going into texturing the Steven Universe part, you would just switch it back to diffuse. And then you'll go back to painting on the actual texture and not the bump. So, little heads up on that. Alright, so now we have our bump on there. Control Z does not like 3D painting. So make sure you erase what you messed up. Go back to bump and try to bump it a little bit more. If you can. Paint mode. Bump. Well, you get the idea of how it works. So now we make the fun part, and let's say we want to make it glossy, like really PVC shiny. We would do the same thing as we did with the bump. Just go to 3D paint mode, and go to glossiness. Use the paintbrush again, say OK, and let's make it white. The same thing goes with the bumping. If it's white, parts that are painted white will be full gloss, as you're about to see in a second. See? Glossy. So yeah, this is how the t-shirt is going to look when we import it in Second Life. Great, huh? If you want to remove gloss or shine, you just paint it black. See? Remove the shine. But if you want to add the shine back, just make it white. So this is how it will look in Second Life. That's it, untextured. So that smooth PVC, that smooth leather, textured leather. Alright, so that's it for texturing in here. Let's export this so we can use it in Second Life. So let's double click, hit file, and then save as. Make sure you name it properly. This is save it in JPEG. This is the shine. See, this is, save this as the bump. was the good bump. Bump 2. And the actual texture. Steven texture. Okay. So that's it for Photoshop. Let's minimize this and let's go into Second Life, which I'm hoping I didn't close. There you go. Alright, so here I am in Second Life, and I'm going to import a t-shirt, which I believe I already have, but texture tutorial t-shirt. And 0, 0, load. Alright. T-shirt. Upload, bulk upload. Permanent. Steven Bump 2 Shine. Okay, so we have our 3 textures that uploaded, and let's add them to the shirt. First is the flat texture, so we can add our Steven texture in. See? Flat. And then we're going to go down to bumpiness. Well, let's go to shine first, and then we're going to add our shininess to it. So here it is, all shiny. PVC-ish like. Light is reflecting off of it. Great. And now we're going to add our bump map to it, which is bump 2. Wait a second. And you see we got this error where it's showing where we had we drew our bump in, but it's not applying it. That's because we need a normal map. Second Life doesn't read bump, it reads normal. And apparently these are 2 different things. Bump is in black and white, which then normal is in like blue and cyan and some other colors. So it's kind of a blech, but there's a quick fix to it. In Photoshop, there's a plugin you can use that generates it for you, but it requires you to actually know terms and experiment with buttons. So to save time, I found this wonderful website, Normal Map Online, that will generate a normal map for you. So all you have to do is go to your desktop, find your bump, select it, wait for it. Takes a minute to load. Wait for it to load up. Guess it would be better if it was on Chrome. Just pause it until it loads in. Okay, that took a few seconds. And there you go. It works just as good as, it works fine. Give you a demo here as to what's going on, but we don't. Crap, I broke it. I guess it's downloaded in my normal map. Let's see. Nope, it chose the rocks. But I messed up and picked the rocks by mistake. But I had a normal map that I used earlier, so we can just go and use this one. So what we do is go back into Second Life. And we choose the normal map. Make sure the normal map isn't. Make sure it says normal map and not texture. Oh, it's right there. And then we did, there you go, the texturing that we did earlier. Well, I did earlier, not the one during this tutorial. But you see what I mean, and there you have it. What is it? A bump mapped, shiny, textured t-shirt, which looks like a leather jacket thingy that you can use. So I hope sorry the tutorial went on a little long, but I hope that you were able to learn something from this, and I hope that it helped you out in your further in your creations. So that's it for me in this tutorial. Good luck in your projects, and if you need help, feel free to ask in the comments, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Okay. Bye!